Hi everybody, Ellen here. Today I come to you guys with my October wrap up. Reading definitely didn't go according to plan because I had 7 books on my TBR, I believe, and I only finished 2 of them, so that didn't go well. But I ended up reading 9 books total, which is not that bad considering how little time I've spent actually reading, because kind of slumpish this month. But yeah, let's talk about all the books that I did read and what I thought about them. So actually the very last book I finished was Anne of Ingleside by Ellen Montgomery. This is the 6th book in the series of Anne of Green Gables. I freaking love this series so much and couldn't help but adore this one as well. I have been annotating it actually. I don't know if you can see that because of the lighting. But this one, like, I don't want to spoil anything, but this one pretty much follows Anne when she's like adult. But in the first book we meet Anne and she's 11 years old. She's just got adopted by these siblings called Marilla and Matthew. They actually want to adopt a boy, but Anne turned up at the train station instead, and they actually decide to keep her, and they grow into this beautiful little family. Please ignore the washing machine. And I just love them all so much. And this one follows when Anne is adult, like I said, and we still get to see some Gilbert Blythe, who I love and adore, even though sometimes he's a little bit mean. But I really enjoyed this one. It was a quick read, even though I was really slumpish while reading this, and there's some great quotes in here and just a lot of events, to say the least. And I just adored it so much, and I ended up giving this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. And then I also read Emilia, Fang and the Barbary Ball by Laura Ellen Anderson. This is a middle grade book. It has beautiful illustrations, and in this one we follow Emilia Fang. She's in fact a vampire, and each and every year her parents actually host this sort of barbaric ball, and for the first time in years the sort of vampire king and his son will actually attend the ball, which has happened in a really long time. But maybe this prince is not as nice as you would have liked, and shit goes down and not everything is as it seems. I did enjoy this one. It was a really quick read, and like I said, such beautiful illustrations. And I ended up giving this book 3.5 out of 5 stars. And then I also read Kikis Delivery Service by Eike Cardano. This is illustrated by Joy Todd Stanton. This is a recently republished book, and the illustrations are just beautiful. I'm gonna see if I can find anything. And this is more of a modern classic since it came out in the 80s, I want to say. But we meet Kiki, and she is a witch in training, and she's supposed to, you know, determine her own way in the world, and she has to leave her family home, go live in a different city, and she has to, you know, be able to take care of herself and like make a living there, at the same time help the people who lives in town. And she ends up moving to the sea town with her cat Gigi, and they open Kiki's delivery service, and she uses her broomstick to fly around town and delivering and getting packages, and she has to repeatedly like save the day for people. And it's really cute, it's really fabulous, and I loved it. It was such a quick read, and I ended up giving this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. Then we have The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta. This is a young adult novel written in verse, and this one we meet Michael. This is pretty much about his journey finding out about drag, and he participates in his first drag show and everything like that. Really enjoyed reading it in verse. It was a really quick read. There's also some text message format as well, sort of a mixed media thing going on. And I really enjoyed reading about Michael and how he grew up and how he realized who he was and who he wanted to be in the society. And he's part of some troubling stuff, very much racism he comes across, and just the drag show part was amazing. Loved that. I actually wished it would have been a little bit more of the drag show part because it was so cool. But yeah, I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars. And then I also read Maskeradnatten by Alice Ekström. This was a review book that I got from the publisher called Seraf Förlag, and this one is pretty much like Six of Crows. Honestly, so much Six of Crows vibes. And in this one we meet Rita Karsin. She is known as the woman with 1,000 faces. Nobody really knows what she looks like, and she's sort of a petty thief, if you will, but one day she actually gets hired to assassinate the king, and while doing so she plans to steal something from the royal chambers because she wants it, and she has to take help. She gets help from this sort of ragtime kind of gang, and they're supposed to help her assassinate the king, and they're all really different individuals. They really have, there's like alchemy, and they have different powers, and it's really cool. Rita Karsin is definitely very kick-ass, and I loved all of the characters in this book, and it was such a entertaining read, and I really look forward to reading the second book, which comes out I don't know when, but I'm looking forward to it. And I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars, I believe. And then I ended up reading another classic, since I am completely sold at them at this point. But I read A Study in Scarlet by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. And this is the first book around Sherlock Holmes. This is how he meets Watson for the very first time, and how they solve the very first case together. And it was a really quick and entertaining read. Sherlock is definitely a very peculiar person. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. And then I also read Fairy Tales Gone Bad. This is Cinderella by Joseph Coelho, and it's illustrated by Freya Hardes. It's a beautiful cover, and it has illustrations in it as well. So this basically follows the story of Cinderella, although she happens to be a zombie, which changes things up a little bit. We all know the story about Cinderella. This is more like the original Grimm version, not the Disney version. I did enjoy this one. It was a really quick read for sure, and beautiful illustrations. However, I think it was very much like the Grimm version. I have read that one, and just the zombie aspects added to it, and I would have liked to see something more than that. But I ended up giving this book 3.5 out of 5 stars. And then I also finished The Train to Possible Places by P.G. Bell. This is another middle grade book. This one we meet Susie, and she wakes up in the middle of the night hearing some weird ass sounds. She goes down to a living room, and she finds out there's a train going through her house. How does it fit there? Where is it going? Who are these weird ass creatures coming off of the train? So she ends up kind of hijacking it and jumping on the train and goes with them, and she goes on some crazy ass adventures. There's a frog in a snow globe, and there's ghosts, and there's magic. I did enjoy this one. It was a very quick read. It has illustrations as well. There we go. And I ended up giving this 3 out of 5 stars. And then the very last one we have is Giant Days by Alison Treyman and Koger, volume 1. And this one we meet 3 girls that goes to universities. We basically just follow their day. Nothing special, but I did like the illustration style. And I ended up giving this book 3 out of 5 stars.